You're listening to Keeping It 100 with Mel and Bruce, sponsored by the 100 Black Men of Las Vegas. My name is Mel Tillar, and I'm your host. Today, we're going to be talking about farming. We're going to be talking about how to grow your food, how to make you healthy. My guests, Chef Mitch Earl and Alaric Overbey. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, Chef Earl, let's start out with you. All right. You are now a farmer and you do something called vertical farming. Tell me about your operation.
Basically, we're a small company here in Las Vegas, Nevada, but we're actually expanding in an area to where we're really reaching out to our youth is our primary. And then also by my wife being a disabled vet, we connected the dots to our disabled vets to go through and get them a way to where they can venture out and really get into the farming aspect. It's so hot here in Las Vegas. So it's like, I can't get outside in the heat. So it allows us to go through and really get into this vertical indoor farming. It's the biggest thing that we wanted to really captivate to really push a new audience into that area of farming.
All right. I like that. Indoor farming, vertical farming. Alaric, why? Why are you all involved in this and why are you passionate about this?
Because we live in a desert, not just a regular desert, but we live in what they call a food desert, which just means that a certain percentage of the population here in Southern Nevada doesn't have access to fresh produce. And so we want to be that access, meaning, whether it's at your grocery store, your local community store, your local giveaways, your local restaurants, they all have a high demand for produce, none of which is grown here in Las Vegas and even less being actually grown in Southern Nevada. So a lot of that stuff is being imported into the city. So it creates an opportunity. It creates an opportunity for somebody to come in and figure out how to farm in the city, and they can capture a percentage or a certain portion of that demand.
Listen, I want you to tell me about this vertical farming. I'm an old Virginia boy. Both of my grandfathers were farmers. I know about farming. I know about planting at the right time. I know about looking at the moon. I know about you have to have a certain amount of rainfall. I know about going out there and planting that fertilizer, working hard, being tired, picking cotton, shaking peanuts. You all don't do any of that.
No, we try not to.
See, I'll tell you what. I was looking at your website now, and I saw you all walking around in white coats. I said, these fellows are talking about telling me they're farmers and they don't even get dirty. All right, explain to me exactly what vertical farming is.
Vertical farming is essentially taking a lot of the stress off of plants. And so what it does is it allows you to grow without using soil. It allows you to recycle
no dirt.
Most of your water. No dirt.
All right.
So we don't use dirt. We use other mediums like rock wool or peat moss, which are basically just mediums that the plant needs in order to be able to absorb the nutrients. We provide the nutrients in a liquid form directly to the roots of the plant, which allows the plant to basically drink and eat a lot more than it normally would if it was dependent on humans to simply go out there and water their fields. So if you can imagine, a head of lettuce takes about 35 to 40 days and about 30 gallons of water in order to grow. We're able to do the same thing in about 21 days and 3 gallons of water.
Wait a minute. You're telling me that you can take a plant from a seed to harvest in how long?
21 days.
Wow. Really?
Yes, with no soil and recycling all the water and all the nutrients.
Oh, and you recycle the water.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, this is getting more interesting. Getting more interesting all the time. So now, and you can rinse and repeat. You can do this again and again and again and again.
Absolutely.
Oh man. And you're teaching children, young people, kids, because kids don't like to be called children. That's it. That's kids to me. All right. So you're teaching young school-age kids how to do this also?
Yes.
Yeah. So this is the future of agriculture, the future of farming. So we're looking at, not necessarily where farming is today, but where farming is going to be, in 20 years from now, when these kids now grow up and have to figure out how to feed themselves. We're not, we can't grow any more land, and we're basically populating all the previous land with new housing and urban development. And then farming is something that's usually passed down through tradition. So, your father, your grandfather had a farm, passed it down to their kids, and so on and so forth. We at some point we got to a place where that tradition is no longer being passed down. So instead of having a tradition of farmers, we're losing that tradition of farmers. So we're losing that sector of the population that is responsible for growing our food.
So, Mitch, you're telling me that you are you actually in schools working with the schools?
Yeah, so we're definitely in the schools now. We're actually doing it two ways. Actually, during school, the kids actually have towers inside of the classroom.
Wow.
Those towers, what it does, it allows them to go through and have a relaxed mode because it still has that continuation, that running water. And then certain things that we're growing on the tower allows them to have relaxation. And then they're learning while they're growing. And that's what engaged me because I was able to see how going from a seed to the first growth is in the first 3 to 4 days. So that impacts a person at its highest factor to see I put my hands on something that actually grows in 3 days.
Wow. That's very amazing to me. As I said, I grew up on the farm. I understand about going through the cycle, the planting, the harvest. I understand about plowing the fields, choosing the right fields, all of those kinds of things. And you all have taken all of that risk out of the process.
Yes.
How many schools are you all working with right now?
So right now we're in a total of 4 schools. Since we're actually recovering from the pandemic, so we're going to open up the doors to be in more schools as we lead into the 2023 school year. But we want to go through and just start getting everybody used to having that local food source back into the schools. And a lot of people start thinking on the way of when you start thinking of at risk. Some people think that's only just in the low income areas, but now the pandemic showed us everyone worldwide is at risk because things have changed the way they living processes. So now you have multi-families staying in one home. And then many have lost their jobs. They were working 15, 20 plus years. So we're able to go through now and work with everybody. So it's not just an at-risk location where we think of just the poverty, because it's a worldwide issue that we're having, and we're trying to get into the schools in various areas. And also Alaric was in the schools there in Oklahoma before he moved back here to Las Vegas.
So Alaric, you all have a business that's up and running now. You call it Green Side Up. Tell me about that.
So Green Side Up is a combination of a lot of work I've been doing over the years when it comes to vertical farming and urban agriculture, and trying to get those systems and get that knowledge primarily into the low-income communities so they can kind of develop ways on how to solve their own problems. And then have an opportunity to partner up with Chef Mitchell and what he was doing as far as being very active in the schools, focusing on STEM technology. We actually, with our towers, there's also a STEM component to that. So it includes everything from science, technology, engineering, and mathematics are all incorporated in what we do, which makes a lot of sense when it comes to like developing the next generation of farmers.
So if I come to your place of business, what can I expect? Can I actually buy some of the produce that you all are producing? Can I get a tour? What could I expect if I come to visit you at your place of business?
Fresh.
Everything's alive.
Everything's alive. All right. What can I get? Tell me, what can I get?
So you actually get a chance to pick it yourself. So there's typically, back in the days, you had to go out to the fields and pick your food. So that's the opportunity to open up here again, to where you're able to go through and pull out your own heads of lettuce, your basils, your cilantro, and different types of lettuce. So we started getting into specialty crops. Maybe you moved in from a different state and you love to have certain things growing and you just have access to it, but being in the middle of the desert, you don't have access to it. We allow you to go through an experience by being back at home to have those special crops growing right in front of you.
Oh, I love that. Okay, so can I get like cabbage and lettuce and tomatoes, potatoes? What can I get?
We primarily focus on your lighter greens, so all your different types of lettuce, a lot of your different collard greens, mustard greens, herbs, things that you use, for culinary dishes. Just a variety of different products was what we offer. But then really it's really the experience. Having the experience to look at something, cut it off, and actually taste it straight from the vine. And that's what we call vine ripened. A lot of times you don't see that in the store.
Vine ripened, they can pull it off of the vine and taste it right there.
Right there.
All right, somebody's in their car. They want to turn their car around and come and see you right now. Where can they find you?
So they can find us at 3231 North Decatur Boulevard, and we're in Suite 125. And so we're in the Red Feather Plaza is where we are, and that's the corner of Decatur and Cheyenne.
Okay, Decatur and Cheyenne. Give me a phone number.
So a good phone number would be 702-630-1059, the 702-630-1059. And they can also grab hold to our second phone line. And our second phone line is coming straight from Alaric Overbey.
All right.
702-900-6151.
One more time, Alaric.
Area code 702-900-6151.
6151. Now, I understand that you all are also in the business of consulting, and you will help other individuals who want to set up or start farming. You will help them to set up their own farming enterprise.
Absolutely. So you would think that we don't want to build a competitive market. We want to have a market by ourselves. But in order for this market to even grow, it requires competition. It requires a network. It requires more farmers. There's, Southern Nevada is, 1.2 million, almost 2 million people that all have a demand for local food, and we can't provide it ourselves. And so our thing is, sharing the wealth. Each one teach one. We want to teach the next generation. We want to teach the next veteran. We want to teach the next individual who wants to see another opportunity to actually be able to grow food and make a business out of it.
That is absolutely fantastic. You're listening to Keeping It 100 with Mel and Bruce, sponsored by the 100 Black Men of Las Vegas. We are talking to the owners and operators of Green Side Up, Mr. Alaric Overbey and Chef Mitch Earl. Gentlemen, I'm going to give you the absolute last word. Starting with you, Chef, what do you want our listeners to know?
We want you to know your farmer. If you know your farmer, you know your food. So that's our biggest campaign that we want to go through. And I learned so much from Alaric, and that's where we actually are pushing forward is, you know your farmer, you know your food. And that's what we focus on: vertical farming, vertical installations, vertical farming training. So each one, teach one is our full motto. So grab a hold to the knowledge base of your food is your medicine. And we want to go through and help you elevate your mindset, because a successful community comes from making sure that you're developing your nourishment both inside and then also mentally. So if you're able to captivate that, then that goes through and builds us a strong community here within the Las Vegas area.
Alaric, I know you have a pretty tall soapbox, and sometimes it takes a lot to pull you off of that soapbox, but I'm going to let you go right now. Okay, tell our listeners exactly why you're so passionate about this and what you want them to remember from this interview.
Definitely want to echo what Chef Mitch Earl said, man, is that, this is about community development. This is about filling a void. This is about getting back to our roots, which was agriculture, which was farming. And then looking at what the future of farming is. My thing is that this can be a solution for urban communities, for those communities that are identified as food deserts. Those communities can now become food oases. meaning that they can now be able to be the main component of food distribution instead of being fed food distribution. So we're trying to reverse that model. Instead of somebody teaching you how to fish, instead of somebody feeding you fish, we want to teach you how to become fishermen in your own community by utilizing vertical farming and related technology.
You heard it here, ladies and gentlemen, on Keeping It 100 with Mel and Bruce. We have been talking to the owners and operators of Green Side Up. They are vertical farmers, Chef Mitch Earl and Alaric Overbey. So if you want fresh food, you want great food, you want to be healthy and live a healthier life, you want to walk out and pull out you want to pull a leaf off the plant and eat it right on the spot that you want to go and visit these guys. You have their phone number, 702-900-6151. That's 702-900-6151. Greenside Up at 3231 North Decatur Boulevard. Remember, you heard it here on Keeping It 100 with Mel and Bruce, and that's Keeping It 100.